Hi, this is Tom Searcy. I'm a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Tom, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. This is totally unprecedented. We go from pre-interview into an interview because you got the energy that I need on this show. Welcome, brother.
Hey, man, I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Like you said, it's unprecedented. You just go ahead and say, man, I connect. Let's do it.
It's something, man. When you catch it, you got to go for it. So let's do this, man. Let's give our listeners an easy win, something they can bank on right now. What book or books have you given most as a gift?
Boy, that's a great question. The first one is called Whale Hunting, How to Land Big Sales and Transform Your Company. And the other one, believe it or not, is called The Death of Selling, How to Survive and Thrive in the New World of Sales. The last one, forgive me, it's called Selling in Place. It really is all about how do we sell virtually. I wrote it and published it during this pandemic. And so you asked one question, I gave 3 books, standard salesperson. Let me see if I can't sell more. So
that's what I like about you, brother. I think on the pre-interview, you told me you read 1 billion books a year. And I said, dude, I got to talk to this guy.
Yeah. How does he do it? Right?
How does he do it? We all want to know. So let's go into the memory banks and let's think back. Tell me a story of how an apparent failure set you up for later success.
Great question. I think back to a deal that we had where we were hunting a very big company, Fortune 500 company. And let's just say that it's brown trucks drive in front of your house and deliver packages. Now, I don't want to say who it is, but if you can get that picture. And we were the little tiny company selling against all the big guys out there. $400 million deal. We were a $33 million company. All right. So why are we selling against all these big companies? We went in, we had our formal presentation and et cetera. And these guys come back to us and they say, we want you to stay. And we're like, we kind of reached out to some people that we knew inside the organization. And we said, why are we staying? And they said, oh, you guys are exciting. You got a lot of energy and all the rest of that stuff. And you're creative. And we figured out on the inside that they had 2 other big companies who were pitching, a company called EDS, another company called IBM. Maybe you've heard of them. And then there was us. And what we figured it out was that these guys were just going to rob all of our intellectual property, all of our creativity, all the rest of it, and then just bid it out to the big guys. So we were going to be failures. We were going to go ahead and give all this stuff away. And et cetera. We walked in to the meeting after that. We said, this is, and there's a variety of conversational terms that you would use, but this is BS. We're not going to give you our intellectual property. You've got 2 choices. You can pay us a 7-figure number, or you can be legit about what we're doing. And let's do this. Let's put up on the list all the reasons why you're not going to buy from us. And these guys, we're talking at the C-level groups that are in there, and they're uncomfortable. They've never told anybody this. So we just said, here's the list of all the reasons you're not going to buy from us. Okay, if we can knock all these off, every single one of them, then will you give us a legit answer and keep us in the process, keep us in the sales process? And so that was one of those kind of failure moments. We knew we were walking into a buzzsaw. And then we said, okay, we're going to come back. And we're not, by the way, if we can't knock these off, we're not coming back. You'll never see us again, except at our front door when you deliver packages. That's it. And so we went back in. We got a couple of partners, big money partner, big IT partner, big staffing partner, because we were selling services to these guys. Knocked all those things off. They say, you guys are legit. And I said, okay, great. You know what? If you want our creativity and nimbleness and et cetera, you hire us. Otherwise, you're going to go ahead and be the 9th level customer for one of these big other players that are out there. In the end, we wound up winning. But when you have nothing to lose, you can just take a baseball bat into the conversation and swing hard. So that was one of those pieces where we were losing, and it taught us an awful lot. Be serious or walk fast.
What would you say is the most worthwhile investment that you've ever made?
Our best investment that we have had And I'm trying to figure, there's a lot of investments you make, but it was a studio. We wound up creating our own studio in which we could do our video and our audio connection and et cetera. Jonathan, I'll be candid. Here's how we did it. We went to a mobile home park. All right. So I don't want you to think studio like this formal place and et cetera. I needed a less expensive place, and I didn't want to invest in a building or rent or whatever. So we bought a mobile home inside of that. And we painted it out black and et cetera. We put in all of our cameras and all of the rest of the stuff that we're going to do in there. And we build out our products that are video-based products and all the rest of that stuff inside of this. So we pull up in our cars and we go into this mobile home, and it's all tricked out with extra power and, internet. We figure that the neighbors think we're running a porn video place, Nobody's there at night. We walk in, we do this stuff, we shoot it, and we ship it out. This is probably not your standard answer that somebody goes and buys a mobile home and turns it into a studio. But hey, listen, I think you like truth. This is the truth.
Now, how do you know it's secure? That sounds scary for all that equipment.
Well, first of all, you get good insurance. So the answer, if they steal it, all we do is upgrade the technology. But secondly, we've got motion stuff and cameras and all the rest of that stuff on all of that. But yeah, I mean, that's it's one of those things. I'd rather go ahead and replace the equipment than get signed into a long-term lease. So this would be the time, right, to go get a decent
you
one.
know it, man. So in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Napping. I would tell you right now, I go back to the people that are the most successful over the course of history. Many of them take a nap as a part of the way to re-energize. I know it sounds crazy, but I would say that second thing I would put in there is meditation, as far as a personal set of things that I do. The third thing I would put in there is absolute rigid time control. I go to bed at the same time every night. I get up at the same time every morning. I eat certain kinds of things and et cetera. Because why? I've got one machine, and it's my body, or actually two, and that's my body and my brain. How do you feed them? All right. And inside of that, of course, there's meditation. There's consumption of my brain food, is what am I listening to and what am I reading, which is the books and the podcasts and et cetera. And all the pieces that feed those things wind up just giving me better clarity. I mean, right now we've got 2 books left that have been written and to publish. We publish 2 videos a week. We've put out, lots and lots of video-based product that is impactful. We do a lot of work consulting with our clients and et cetera. You've got to be sharp, and you can't put that stuff, that idea that your body and your mind is something that you don't control, that it shows up in circumstances of some days I'm good and some days I'm bad. Instead, control the machine. And that's the machine. What is everybody in performance-based ideas? What do they sell? They sell expertise. They sell a vision of a better future. They sell themselves as a trusted advisor to their customer base. In all of those cases, what do you have to have? You have to have your ideal performance mechanism in place, and it's your mind. So those are the things. A longer list, but you probably didn't think that the number one behavior was taking a nap. Man, I'll tell you, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I take a nap. It's not a long nap. I wake up and guess what? I'm ready to go.
This is going to be odd, and this is exactly why we're talking right now, is because I had scheduled after our talk a nap. So I said, screw the nap. I'm going to go do the interview. Oh, that's too good. That's too good, man. You can't script it better. So let's talk about bad recommendations. What would you say are bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
Man, we hear an awful lot of them. One of them is in the hiring world. When you're hiring salespeople, is someone who says that they've got a database of customers that they're going to move from their past employer over to another employer. All right. Huge bad decision. Do not hire salespeople on the trust or belief that they can move a book of business from their former company over to your company. It does not work. Trust does not transfer or travel. All right. The salespeople believe that they are the reason. The fact of the matter is the performance of the former company is the reason why in which they're doing business. The second thing is that you need to start small and grow to a bigger level. That acorn problem, which is that salespeople and organizations, companies sit on top of smaller deals, even inside of big companies, and they want to perform their way up. Our answer is don't sit on acorns, go climb oak trees, go after the big deals and make certain that you land the big deal rather than getting your foot in the door. My answer is the foot in the door should be a shoulder and should be all the way in there. You go in through the small door, you're going to get stuck in the small room. And that's what happens with small and mid-sized companies when they're trying to get to higher level performance.
Now we're about to get into your favorite part of the show where we talk about results. But first, I've got to ask you, are you picking up what we're laying down here? I hope so. That's why we do the show every week. And I want to ask you for a little bit of help. If there's someone out there that you think can benefit from this show, why not share it with them? Put it out there, hit the share button, use hashtag ResultsLeaderFM, and get it out there. Now let's jump back into the interview.
Let's talk about results. Tom, why do results matter?
First of all, results matter because they're an affirmation that a process or system is working. And even the results that are negative inside of a system allow you to have clarity as to what you need to change. You know, one of the definitions of culture is that that what is successfully repeated, right, is what the culture then continues to do over time. So what gets rewarded and what gets penalized is a part of the culture. If the culture is going back and evaluating, then it has a positive impact on making the choices. If it doesn't, then leadership and management makes independent choices of what they are validating and what they are discarding along the way. Lacks of process means what? Every day you come in and it's the first day on the moon and you just reinvent yourself. Not a good approach.
In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients?
Sales operations has become a really important part of sales processes into large organizations. Let me be very specific because people use that term of sales operations and they're not always looking at it clearly. Sales operations has an awful lot to do with what is the information that is relevant and valuable inside of an industry that you're selling into or a customer that you're selling into. Secondly, how are you presenting that information? It used to be marketing created, pretty decks, pretty PowerPoints and pretty materials. And you went and you showed up and threw up that particular material. Sales operations now is in that business of collaboratively working with the sales team to create very specified and insightful materials along the way. Sales operations also works through the metrics that are valuable. So when you take those sales operations, they become teamed up in a different way than a quote unquote administrative support or a sales support. This is intellectual property kind of movement forward and supports the machine of landing very large accounts. Didn't really exist in a very good way 5 years ago. Has dramatically improved over the course of the last 5 years.
Let's talk about your business. What area of your business would you like better results?
The transfer of single individual sales coaching into a broader level of digital presentation. That's why we have the studio. That's why we've invested so much in creating digital content. And that's because we want to leverage. We have an end goal. I wouldn't say an end goal, but a goal that's really important to us. And that's to affect 10,000 small to mid-sized companies to help them to transform themselves, to double the speed with which they double the size of their company and double the size of their average deal. Those are the kinds of things that we want to measure. And that means we want to absolutely help 10,000 companies. You and I both know That is impossible on a coaching basis one-on-one. You have to create digital content. In addition, we want to get to 100,000 people that are transformationally landing big sales. When you start to look at those kinds of numbers, the only way for us to reach out is we went through our real goals. What was it? What was our why, right? As Simon Sinek talks about, what is it that it drives you? Our drive is transformational work with people and companies to get them in a position to really make that results-based approach. Here's the thing, Jonathan. My belief is about what you're talking about is you're not looking for transformation on an incremental basis. Oh, hey, this year we landed X, and next year we landed X plus 1. This program is about transformational change. Yes, yes?
Yeah.
I'm glad. I was like looking out at this conversation. I'm thinking, if he doesn't say yes, this is going to be a bad rest of the interview.
So I'm listening. I'm taking notes, bro.
Yeah. So so how do we do that? You've got to push this into a digital world, and to reach out and et cetera. And that's how we're going to get there.
Yeah, man. The scale. I hear you. So let's talk about results. What results are you most proud of?
There's a lot of stuff that has really been happening. It's really exciting. In the $10 million to $250 million companies that are out there, when they go land, say a $25 to $75 million deal, right? They change the way they think about their world. They change the ways that they think about who could we be? How rapidly could we get there? What kinds of people could we hire? How could we develop our people? We now are not the small player in the small pond trying to go after the small pieces. We're the real deal. And those people that should be, I would say this in the nicest way, our competitors should be scared about where we are and what we're doing. Second thing I'm most proud about is so those, I want to say smaller, we're talking about $500,000 to $1 million deals for some of our clients. That's a huge deal. All right. That's not like nothing. But we've also had the privilege of working with companies on $2 billion deals and help them dramatically to land those. And so those are, one of the questions I asked when I've done public speaking in the past about this is I asked the group to raise their hand. Do they know the size of the largest sale they've ever made? You get 100% out there. Everybody knows what the biggest deal is that they've ever closed. And then I asked the second question, is the biggest deal you've ever closed in your rear mirror or is it in your future? And the hands go down, not because they don't believe, it's because they don't know. They don't know if they got lucky. They don't know if this is a one-off. They don't have a methodology to look at their results as something that they control. And they hope that they will have circumstances that potentially create it. What if you could say every single 6 months, every single year, my biggest deal ever is in front of me and I have a plan to go get that? It's impacting. What happens if you're 50 years, 60 years of age, and you're just sliding into the end of your career? Is that really who you want to be? I don't think so. I think you want to go out saying, I closed a huge size. I'm coming up with a word that I could put in here. I closed a really large deal. I was at the apex of my performance and my results. This is how I'm Muhammad Ali. I retired on top, and that's what's out there. And if you do this, I get very excited. Why would you ever stop? I mean, when was the last time that landing a huge deal wasn't like energizing and exciting and making you want, what do you want after you land? You want to land more. It's hard to go backwards. If you used to land, it reminds me of a client that I had. I was working with them and I happened to be in their offices, and a guy by the name of Nate, the biggest deal that he'd ever closed was $50,000. All right. We worked together, built the process system, all the rest of those kinds of good things, installed that. And 10 weeks later, he landed a $500,000 deal, wow. 10 times the size of his deal ever. So a phone call comes in a week later, and it's on an opportunity that is $100,000. All right. And he sends it off to somebody else. He delegates to one of the other salespeople. And I'm like, why did you delegate it? And his answer was simple. I'm a $500,000 guy now. So what was double before is now beneath his willingness, because he wants to spend his time on $500,000 deals. You've now changed how you think of yourself, what you think is possible. I mean, that's why the performance pieces and the things that you're doing and et cetera change how people view what is possible.
I want to dig deeper into that because I feel like you only touched the surface of it. And this guy, Nate, doing $50,000 deals, he turns into the $500,000 deal guy. That sounds good, but there's things that have to change internally, belief systems, different things. Or is it just you install the process and it works? How do you become that 10X performer?
You've asked a big question, and it sounds like a short question, but it's not. I'll give you 3 core pieces, and I'll tell you that there's more. But let's take the fast 3. The first one is it's based upon what we call cut small and slice deep. And what that means is out of the universe of people that you could be talking to inside of a universe or inside of the marketplace and even inside an industry, you have to reduce down the number of people that you're willing to take a call from or a sales opportunity or whatever, because you've got to clear the desk for just those opportunities that meet what we call your target filter. And inside of that target filter, it's the sweet spot. If you go and see now my mind's missing it, but the best baseball player in all time, you can go online and said he has a grid that shows on side of a strike zone where his sweet spot, he could hit anything in the strike zone, but his sweet spot of his highest batting average came from one particular set of, and the grid is all made out in the size of baseballs. Point being is, even though he could hit everything, right? He stopped swinging at as many as possible, and he only tried to go ahead and swing at those things, and he'd foul off everything else that he could till he got his pitch. Well, most salespeople say, I'm going to swing at everything inside of the strike zone, instead of saying, this is my sweet spot. When you go to the $500,000 size deal, what he did was he got rid of all this stuff that had a low close opportunity, and it would take 10 to get to 1. So the best people are out there have short list pipelines, not long list pipelines. To your language, the performance ratio was not in the amount that you're going after, but the specificity of what you're going after. So the second piece of how he worked this was he thought he was a rock star. He went out and tried to pitch and close all on his own and et cetera. And what we talked to him in the system was, here's your leverage people inside your organization. Here's the leverage people in their side of the organization. We call them eels in the buying side of the organization. Eels are those people that are whispering at the water cooler, or they're the ones that are sending out the emails, or the one talking inside of the buyer's ear, saying, it might be a good idea, but this isn't the right time. And we should look at this in a different way, et cetera. Delays are just no in Greek. All right. The fact is that you're listening to a no. So you better figure out who are all the people on the buyer's table and connect them to your subject matter experts. I mean, nobody wants to talk to the salesperson after you've connected to the buyer. When's the last time an engineer said, I'd like to go ahead and talk to your salesperson? Somewhere close to never. They want to talk to an engineer. Even if your salesperson is a phenomenal engineer, doesn't matter. It says sales guy or gal on the outside. Salesperson. I'm trying to be politically correct. Whatever you want to call that it says sales or revenue generator or whatever, vice president of stuff that annoys me. It doesn't matter. They want to talk after you've connected to the person who's executive buyer. You have what we call a buyer's table. There's the buying group on their side, the selling group on our side, and the salesperson is alongside of the process, but you're orchestrating the people that are connecting with each other. It's a very precise system. You got to be there's a lot of ways to get that wrong, but you asked for kind of a quick answer to how you get this done. A third piece to this is the close is really about the expertise that you demonstrate. Your customer or your prospect should be closing the sale, not you. People always say, hey, listen, I want to let you know that we want to earn your business. We'd like to go ahead and figure out a way that we can solve your problems. No, come on. If you haven't demonstrated that you can solve their problem, look, if they've got a problem, all right, they want to get it solved, and their answer is how quickly can you solve it? Otherwise, you're just bidding. You might as well be in an RFP process or talking to purchasing, right? This isn't selling, it's bidding. And look, I wrote a book called RFPs Suck. And that's because RFPs suck, because it's not really about moving forward value. It's only moving forward price. You're not a sales executive, you're just a quoting machine.
And I could talk to you all day, seriously. But any parting thoughts for the results leaders who are tuning in and listening to us right now?
Results leaders need to connect to the idea that growth is a cultural issue. The idea has to come from the top, that the most effective people inside of changing the sales process are not delegated down to the senior VP of sales or whatever, or growth or whatever. That doesn't make them bad. They can be phenomenal. But the initiative that moves forward growth, sustained change, requires sustained energy. And if you're going to sustain that energy, it has to come from the senior executive, the CEO, or the owner. I'll say it again. Sustained change requires sustained energy. And it comes from that C-suite driver. Over time, it could be moved, but it can't ever be removed. You move some of the core responsibilities over, but you can never step away and say, I want my sales organization to solve all that for me. You don't double the size of your company in half the time by just handing it over to a department and delegating around. You have to drive the change.
Powerful. I know our listeners are going to want more from you, Tom. Where can they find you?
Easiest place is at huntbigsales.com. It's just like it sounds. Hunt, Hunt, big, B-I-G, sales, SALES.com. It's not a clever name like Accenture where you don't know what the hell it means. It's in the title, huntbigsales.com.
And I dig it. I'm so glad that we got a chance to wrap here today. It's been so fun. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, results leaders, for tuning in. And that is a wrap. That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next one.
This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.